fix the hair, Hey guys, Zero here, back with another video. And as you can tell by the title, we're gonna cover the Digimon Kizuna. I was able to obtain a copy of this. I can't disclose my source because that would be illegal. But I just want to mention, maybe you haven't heard of something on an unrelated note of a site that rhymes with bia.key. So one thing I just want to note, so if you do want to watch this copy that, somehow you're able to get, obviously I'm not advocating for any illegal actions here. And you'll see a little big, little sample 3 over the screen. So I'm thankful for the person who was able to provide this copy. I will not disclose who that is, although maybe their username will be shown because of I'm using some screenshots from it or a little bit of footage, trying to keep it down to a minimum. Because last time I did a review of a Digimon movie series, Bandai Toei did not exactly like me using it for criticism and just said, no, you're not using it for fair use. And I just want to warn you, before we start the video here, there will be spoilers. So if you have not watched it or want to watch it and don't, want spoilers, please click off now, and maybe once you watch the movie, come back to the video. I don't mind at all. The video is always going to be here unless for some reason Bandai Toei wants to remove my video. And before we get started, I would really appreciate if you left a like or shared the video, and a subscription to the channel would be highly appreciated as well. Anyways, let's get started. So to start out, we're going to introduce what Digimon Kizuna is. Digimon Kizuna is the supposed sequel to Digimon Tri, which is also the 20th anniversary of the series, celebration of the series. And just like any plot of any movie of any series, they present a new antagonist, new characters, and a new plot, right? That's par and parcel for every movie of any established series we have already. And the plot surrounds the problem that there are Digidestined that are falling into comas for no explainable reason. In my video for Digimon Tri, I talked a lot about, not a lot, I briefly touched on character design, and I love to say that Digimon Kizuna did a very good job of actually distinguishing characters, and this does not have that saber face problem I mentioned in that video. And for sure, at least for Tai, I watched the movie twice just to make sure, Tai was very expressive, and I really loved that about him. Everyone was in more casual clothing, inspired by their younger selves, and I think it's because everyone was finishing high school or in university that they're not wearing uniforms. I do really love that about this. I just want a quick little mention there, a little mirror of what I talked about in my Digimon Tri videos. Earlier I mentioned introduction of new characters. We have Dr. Menoa Bellucci. I believe she's Italian, that's what I'm getting from it. And she's introduced as an expert of Digidestined and Digimon. And she also sourced the problem of the comatose Digidestined. And the comatose Digidestined problem, Eosmon. We also get introduced to Menoa's handler, although I don't remember his name. He had an important role, but it felt a little minor. I think that's one of the gripes I have with the series, but he's important still, just enough. My overall impression of the movie, 10 out of 10. If I could be biased, but to do a good review, you can have a little negative points in there. But 9.9 out of 10 was what I would give it if I could. So I felt like this is what Tri should have been, a celebration of the series. And one thing I gotta say, this somehow did a really good job of bringing a new story and new characters in 1/5 of the time that Tri did. Because Tri had a total runtime, and this is rough because I'm taking it from Wikipedia, 531 minutes versus 94 minutes of what Kizuna is. So they got a really good quality over quantity here. And before I get to the real meat, I guess what you would call the real meat of my review here, I just want to throw in some nostalgia points that I really loved about this. They threw in Parrotmon as a first fight. They had the goggles that they showed in the trailer, those big VR goggles in the trailer. They were useless, but I loved that callback to Tai and his goggles. I love the use of the opening theme when they, after that fight, they had a little bit of introduction thing. I don't know how to call it, but like that's a thing that anime movies do, where they have the start and then they do like a bit of an opening, like how in Your Name. That's the name. Your Name. They had the beginning sequence, and then they had that key song I don't remember the name of to do like an opening sequence. So when they use the opening sequence and use the opening from the original series, mwah. Now the battle with the antagonist Eosmon gave me a lot of Dear Boromon vibes, because they flew through the tubes of the net just like that. I really love that. The way they encased it in like a battle arena too, similar to like the Dear Boromon. They even used Omnimon in there. I really love that. I know I complained that early on in the new Digimon TV series they used Omnimon right off the bat. Oh look, we got a trump card, but that was my problem with it. I didn't realize until watching this. They didn't have a consequence. They just have Omnimon. Like, we're done. In this movie, because they used Omnimon early on, they had a consequence that came afterwards. They couldn't evolve without the consequence of, and spoiler, of losing their Digimon. Another callback I really loved was the reintroduction of Wallace. He had a little cameo in Izzy's computer in his like Skype call list. That was really cool. I don't know. I like that. It looks like he's running Windows 7 in his, because this is set in 2010. That's the idea. But somehow they got really advanced cell phones due to Izzy's in just genius. One of my biggest complaints, this is not a nostalgia point, but one of my biggest complaints of Try was that they did not involve the Digimon Adventure 2 cast a lot. This time around, they actually involved them. Sure, they're a bit more side, but at least they weren't just like a little candy at the end of a meal. They were involved. They actually like investigated and talked to the characters. They had speaking roles. They had a fighting role. Like it. Why didn't you give them this and Try? And one last like big nostalgia moment to me. It always hits me hard. Is they brought back that one whistle that they used to wake up Greymon in the first Digimon movie. The one that explains like how the Digidestined of Tokyo, at least, became the Digidestined. They witnessed the fight between Greymon and Parrotmon. You know, that again, see, the Parrotmon somehow comes up every single movie. I don't know why. One thing I really appreciate about Kizuna is the showing of the growth of our characters. With Try, they didn't really do a good job. I feel like they softly attacked that kind of thing, because like Joe was busy and doing everything, but like it just felt like an excuse, just a tiny excuse to have those characters in. With Kizuna, they're actually more serious about their passions. They're older now. Most of them are in their 20s, and I believe Joe is actually 25. So he's on his way to being a doctor, and many of the characters are pursuing their passions, such as being authors or professional flower arrangers. What's interesting as well, though, is that Matt and Tai, the more main than the main cast characters, they are stuck in a bit of a rut. They don't know what to do with their lives. And it's funny because in Try, I believe one of his teachers pushed him to learn a new language to go towards the diplomacy thing they mentioned in Digimon 2, but it seemed like it didn't go anywhere, so it looks like they might have actually abandoned Try. And I like that idea. I'm okay with that. And there's one fun thing I want to mention. They didn't mention May at all. And that, heck yes. They focused on everyone else in the main cast, and they just didn't mention anything about May. Did they retcon Try, please? And you know, speaking of May, because she was introduced in Try to be a new character to explore, Menoa was introduced here as a new character to explore as well. And they work some magic here. Not magic. It's magic compared to Try, because they introduced her, developed her, and like closed her arc. Like, wow. In one movie, she had more personality than May did. I have so many bad things. May was empty. People have claimed this, and I agree with that. She felt like just a self-insert character for some fan writer, and I'm sorry, whoever you are, but May was a bad character, and I think you knew that. What's interesting about Menoa is that she's actually the same. She may look older, but she's the same age as Matt, Tai, and Sora. She's 22 years old, but somehow she accelerated herself to get a doctorate in something for Digimon research, and has her own paper and even patent as well. We learned that a little later. And I find it funny that you didn't hear that from Izzy when they introduced her, but I like it when one of the I forget his name, Digimon Emperor. I can't remember his name, but Digimon Emperor dude, like, yo, I know her. She's this and this. And like, that felt really natural that they found it that way instead of Izzy's like, I know her, blah, 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 blah. Or like, she goes in and introduces herself, I'm a doctor. That would sound a little arrogant, and I liked that they did that. Earlier, I mentioned that Menoa knows a lot about Digimon and Digidestined. Now, she also knows what's happening with the comatose Digidestined as well. She comes up with a plan and presents it to Matt and Tai. They thought it was a simple plan. We go in there, we're done, we retrieve their consciousness, and everything's good, right? But that'd be too short. I think Eosmon is a very cool Digimon. The sounds felt like it fit the shape of it and what it looked like. Earlier I mentioned that they used Omnimon quite early on in the film, and they didn't do a bad job with this. Again, it was like really early on in the thing. In comparison to the new Digimon 2020, similar kind of time frame, I want to say. But it felt appropriate because they had a consequence. And what was its consequence? They started losing connection with their Digimon and could not evolve without the risk of losing their Digimon completely. This added actually some urgency to the plot, and it felt like there was actually an emotional reason to do things. I don't know what it was, but it felt like very emotional, and the reason why, and Menoa explains very well, it's the stagnation of someone. The reason why Digidestined are children is because they have more potential for growth, and that potential for growth is the energy that they use to digivolve with. So once you stagnate, you can't really digivolve anymore. Things get a little interesting when Matt spots Menoa's partner or handler alone and suspect, what is this guy doing? He's been with her for a while. Well, guess what? Plot twist. It was Menoa all along. Wow! What I appreciate about her character is she's a genius, absolute genius. She didn't lie to anyone. She just hid information that was not needed, known by anyone else. So, and what's her motivation actually? I really appreciate this motivation because she lost her Digimon due to her growth and stagnation. She didn't want anyone else to suffer that. So that's why she developed all she did. We find out, hey, guess what? She made Eosmon. And this kind of parallels a little bit if you want to go with the English dub of the Attack of Diaboromon. Wallace or Willis makes a Digimon, and that causes problems for everyone. It's very similar, and I love that. And this also draws a little bit of a parallel to Digimon Tri, where her name was Maki Himikawa, the office lady that works with Tai's teacher. Again, I find it so funny that none of these characters come up again. I mean, one's dead, I know that, and one... Was she in jail? I don't know. I see that's... How much do I actually care about Tri? I just care about hating on it. The plot in Kizuna mirrors very much of that because Himikawa, she wanted to bring back her old Digimon and she followed whatever weird instructions of it. But her, arc felt like way more like a side plot than how they did here. And both were adults that meddled with Digimon and Digidestined to reach their own goals. But again, this felt very appropriate in how they handled it with Menoa. Now, it's really sad, and this is the big, sad spoiler part, is that Matt and Tai do lose their Digimon. I know that in the end of Digimon Adventure 2, they showed both Matt and Tai with their partner Digimon in whatever goal of career they wanted to choose. This time around, they retcon that Matt and Tai both lose their Digimon, but they still pursue their dreams of becoming an astronaut or a politician, which I really, really love that. They made a really good job of retconning things. Okay, now, so I've said a lot of positive points about Digimon Kizuna, okay? And what is a review without some negative points? And I don't have many. I'm sorry. I'm very biased, but I've got to at least point out some flaws in this, right? So, in the very beginning, they actually introduced these electrical disturbances that started happening, and that's what happened and how Parrotmon appears. It feels like it was somewhat of a regular thing, and that's why Izzy was in contact with International Digidestined into keeping the world safe. Now, it's weird because that kind of just drops as soon as they have the comatose Digidestin problem. So I'm not really sure why that happened. It maybe just have been just a vehicle just to get a hook, because that fight was really cool, and just to have a way to get Paramount in for that. That's it. Alright, so with that negative point out of the way, I have this section here for the video to appreciate things about the movie that are not story. Just like things I like about the movie. So let's jump in here. I didn't know where else to put it. I think the end is a pretty good, this like third of the video is a pretty good point to do it in order here. One weird note, like animation thing I noticed was during the fight with Parrotmon, just as Matt arrives, there's one point where you don't see any scleras on Tai. He just has flesh and then eye. Can also mention that Matt looks really handsome with these red glasses, like mwah. Another animation quirk that I noticed. When Tai and Agumon enter his apartment, Tai looks a little odd. This is why you don't pause anime. I love attention to detail. And there's a scene where Tai talks to Menoa, and she's sitting at the window, and you can see the rain, rain falling down the window, and it looks like tears. Detail! Now this is like a slight plot thing, but not huge, because I would like to disregard Try as canon. I am a believer of Try is trash. Try shouldn't have existed. Try does not exist. It's not part of the continuity, and I will keep it that way. Now Jedi, he comes back and talks to Tai about, yes, you will lose your Digimon. But nobody questions, hey, why is Jedi not evil anymore? And, speaking of, not canon, why is Mei mentioned in this one frame? The main theme for the series, at least for the Digivolution portion, is called Butterfly. And I was so blind, because I watched this twice. First time around just for quick little notes, second time around for any additional notes I need to make. And this detail, again, I love detail. The opening sequence showed a butterfly flying off of a flower. Did I also mention Eosmon as a moth? Kind of like a butterfly, but of course they're different. And the giant Neverland that she creates, which is a great reference by the way, to trap the Digidestined and the young selves with the Digimon. It's a giant butterfly too! The end battle, very cool. Now, it's just me. I don't watch a lot of mech stuff, so I will make this reference a lot. Reminded me a lot of Diaboromon because of multiple Eosmons, as well as Evangelion because they had big lasers and shields. And the sounds very much hark back me to the angels of Evangelion. And now one final note here for like fun things I learned about the final evolutions that they had, pun intended. Wikimon says there are just like side evolutions of Agumon and Gabumon. They're named Agumon Yuki's Kizuna and Gabumon Yujo's Kizuna, which literally translates to Courage's Bond, so Agumon Courage's Bond, and Gabumon Friendship's Bond. They also actually refer to the official Digimon reference book, the Japanese site, and they actually call them Yuki no Kizuna and Yujo no Kizuna, and I'm for sure butchering that pronunciation. But they are Agumon, the Bond of Courage, and Gabumon, the Bond of Friendship. And to recap on what I have to say about Digimon Kizuna, Last Evolution, long name, please guys market it better, is that there's not much things I can say negative about it. Like, I don't like using like the 1 to 10 scale. I now work on the sad face, medium face, and happy face scale on any list. I find that way easier than trying to scale it in that manner. So big happy face, like with extra double happy face for me on this. And they did a really good job of creating a movie that captures nostalgia, gives you a new plot line, and I think is a absolutely great send-off for the Digimon Adventure characters. Now, they could actually throw in like another thing, because they left room for that, to talk about the Digimon 2 cast. They could definitely do something with them, but if they've decided this is the last one for the original series, I think it's great. the review one of I read said, oh, it's really confusing for fans because Tri, but like, again, I want to forget Tri exists. I want to pretend it's not canon. I think this is the best way they could have ended the series. That is my review of Digimon Kizuna Last Evolution. I know it'll be some time before people actually watch the movie, let alone this video, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it down below. I know there's delays and COVID and everything like that, so it'll be a long time until that happens, but I would love to hear your thoughts about the movie, positive or negative. You could share or like the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you want to check out my other Digimon videos here, I did videos reviewing the first 5 movies and then my thoughts after I watched the 6th one. You kind of already know my thoughts here, but if you want more detail, that's where you want to go. Subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.